So I know a new thing. If you want to unmute yourself to ask a question, you just need to press your space bar and speak. So you don't actually have to click and unmute, just press the space bar, hold it down and speak. So settle down onto your backs. And to start with, you can lie however is most comfortable. So it could be with your knees bent, it could be with your legs long. And bring your hands to rest onto the front of your body. So we're going to start by gathering our attention into our breathing and see how it feels to connect with your breathing by resting your hands somewhere onto the front of yourself. So I'll leave that up to you. And close your eyes and just settle. And if you need to have a couple of big sighing breaths to help you settle, if you need to let your head roll a little bit to the right and to the left. So any of these little things that might help you settle a little bit more comfortably. And then just giving yourself a few cycles of breath, just to be there, to arrive, to start this process of feeling and being. So noticing what you feel in your body as your breath comes in, noticing what you feel as your breath leaves you. And we've got this two-way sensing process going on. So the hands are resting on the body and the hands are feeling how the body responds to the breathing. But also your body can feel the warmth and the weight of your hands. And as we continue to lie for another few breaths, maybe it becomes sort of more and more difficult to distinguish what is the hands and what is the body. Perhaps these two things merge together a little bit. And then we will start, as we often do, by bending both knees, standing your feet on the floor, taking a moment to feel the contact of your footprints on the floor, the back of your pelvis on the floor, and then starting to let your knees tilt to the right and to the left. And keeping it comfortable, keeping it easy. So if we think about everything we're doing on our backs at this point, it's about releasing tension, it's about settling into our body, settling onto the ground, noticing maybe to start with, are there creaky places? And then making sure we look after those places and really feel to see if the movements are helping or making things worse. If they are making things worse, then just backing off. Okay, so a couple more times, let the knees tilt to the right and to the left. And then settle in the center. Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And then keep, let's see, do we need to, yeah, just keep your right knee bent, I think, and your right foot standing on the floor, and lengthen your left leg out on the ground. So we're going to come to that movement where you press into your right foot and you let your pelvis lift off the floor on the right, and your pelvis tilts over towards the left. So a couple of things to think about. Your right knee is moving straight forwards over your right foot rather than over to the left. And your left leg is long and heavy and passive on the floor. So as your pelvis tilts to the left, you might roll a bit more towards the outer edge of that long left leg. So repeat this movement a couple more times, pressing into the right foot, noticing how it feels around the pelvis, into the lower back. And just making sure you're keeping it comfortable and easy. If it doesn't feel comfortable and easy, just make it smaller, do less. And then in your own time, you can swap sides and see how it feels on the other side. So what I noticed when I was doing this today is my first side, it felt great. And then the second side, it did feel quite creaky and I had to really back off a bit. So yeah, notice how it feels on the second side. Don't try to avoid going into autopilot. And being aware that it could feel quite different from the first side. So now you're pressing into your left foot, you're sending your left knee forwards over your footprint. You're letting the left side of your pelvis lift off the floor and allowing your pelvis to tilt towards the right. As you're doing all of this, just make sure you're staying soft and relaxed in your shoulders and in your jaw. And you're letting your breath flow in and out. Okay, so just once or twice more on the left, pressing into the foot. And then you can lengthen your left leg out on the floor for a moment. So lengthen both legs out, give them a little roll or a little bounce. And then we're going to do some of these rocking movements with the arms. So it's up to you now whether you keep your legs long or you bend your knees and you stand your feet on the floor. So just do whichever is more comfortable. And then we're going to come to the first rocking movement. And the first one we're going to do is to make a big circle with our arms. So if you interlink your fingers, and it's like you're holding a big beach ball, and then keeping that circular shape, you're going to rock towards the back of your left shoulder, and then towards the back of your right shoulder, and letting your head move with your arms. So rocking across your upper back, very nice, good, well done everyone. Nice, yeah, so keep a circular shape. That's it, yeah, so start off with a circle in the middle. And as you go from side to side, you want to keep your circle circular. So it might mean going less far. Because in this one, we're just thinking about being quite soft across the upper back. Good. So maybe once, twice, 3 times more to each side, and then just give your arms a little bit of a rest on the ground. Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. If you haven't rested your arms, do so, because we're going to do a couple more of these rocking movements. So don't worry, there's plenty. We're doing plenty of these. So let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And then the next one we'll do is the one where we make a triangle with our arms. So touching the palms together, elbows straight, and the hands stay stuck together and the elbows stay straight as you rock across your upper back. Towards the back of the right shoulder, towards the back of the left shoulder, the head coming along with the arms. Very nice. Good. So remember, it's not so much about how far you can go. If we can keep the hands stuck together, if we can keep the elbows straight, it really focuses the movement in the upper back, the spine between the shoulder blades. And this one may feel, when I do this one, it always feels a bit less comfortable, that I'm really starting to get into some of those knotted up muscles. Good. So you can do that a few more times if you're comfortable. Whenever you need to have a rest, bring your arms down. Very nice. That's it. And then again, let the arms rest on the floor beside you. Let the breath come in, let the breath leave you. It's always easier to let the arms rest when we've moved them. So just, yeah, let the arms rest, let the shoulders settle. And then the final one you're going to do is when you give yourself a hug. So see how it feels. Give yourself a hug. You're crossing your elbows over your chest. Good. And then you're rocking side to side like this, which might be that you can't go so far. Yeah, exactly. We're just, yeah, we will be doing this in a moment. But not the knees this time, just the upper back, Kayla, that's it. So it might, just see how it feels, because when I was doing it earlier, it felt quite tight. I couldn't go very far. If I'm not letting my pelvis move, what sort of movement can I do? And you might want to try with the other arm on top, because I found one arm on top was a bit more comfortable than the other. So that was quite interesting, because I was finding it quite hard. I was feeling quite tight. Oh, so I think it's Vinny on your bed, Emma. So it's nice to see. Okay, and then uncross your arms, let them rest, because we're going to add that same movement in a moment into the foot pressing. So first of all, just come back to have your left leg long and your right knee bent with your right foot standing on the floor. So come back to this one. And a few times, just do what we did before. So pressing into your right foot, letting your pelvis tilt to the left. And then you can add in the cross-armed movement. So cross your right arm on top of your left. And so now as you press into your right foot, you roll across the back of the shoulders towards the back of the left shoulder. And your right fingertips reach out on the floor towards the left. So so it's much it's a bigger movement now because you're rolling across the upper back. Good. That's nice. Oh, keep sending your knee forwards though as you do this. Yeah, don't let the knee come over to the left as well. So the knee is still going forwards over the footprint, but your fingers can reach over to what, that's it. That's it, good. Check that. Okay, very nice. You can do that once or twice more. Then just maybe lengthen both legs out, uncross your arms for a moment before we do the other side. So let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And when you're ready, you can bend the left knee, stand the left foot on the floor, the right leg is long. You cross your arms over your chest with your left arm on top now. And then as you might be moving, as you exhale, pressing into the left foot, rocking across the back of the shoulders. So you come towards the back of the right shoulder. And your left fingertips slide along the floor, reaching out to the right. Good. That's it. Keeping sending that knee forwards. Very nice. Good. And to repeat this a few more times. So it might be, I think, like I was just saying, that you move on the out breath. That's when you press into your foot and you initiate the movement. If that's helpful, you don't have to do it like that. Okay. And when you've had enough, you can uncross your arms. You might like to lengthen both legs out for a moment. And from there, you're going to fold your knees into your chest and you're going to just have a little rock from side to side across the back of your pelvis. then before we get up off our backs, we're going to lengthen out our arms and our legs. We're going to do a bit of a stretch. I'll just say one thing, just be a little bit careful with your arms that you don't do anything that doesn't feel comfortable. So the first thing you're going to do is lengthen your legs out on the floor, and we're going to stretch into the heels. And then if it's comfortable, take your arms up by the sides of your head, interlink your fingers, and then turn your palms away from you. So you're going to stretch up into your hands, and you're going to stretch your heels away from you, and just see how that feels. And you could release, and you could try again. It's just, yes. But obviously don't do something that's going to bring in tension in your shoulders. So arms up, yeah, interlinking the fingers, stretching up into the heels. And then from there, you might, yeah, we're going to roll onto our side, have a few breaths there, and we're coming up into standing. So I think when everyone's in standing, I might just unmute you for a bit. So there's a really annoying function now, and so I will mute people again. I just wanted to check everyone's okay. Is everyone okay?
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yes, good. Okay. There's a rather annoying function in Zoom that I don't seem to be able to unmute everyone at the same time. So I probably will end up having you all muted for a bit more. It's, yeah, just how it goes. So coming to standing, we'll do a couple of things. I think I'll keep you unmuted for the moment because we're going to do this new balance. We're going to do it twice. It's simple. It's not dramatic, but it's yeah. So coming to standing, and first of all, let's just arrive in standing first of all, because we were lying down for a little bit. And so maybe look at your feet and then settle yourself in standing, maybe just a little bit of swaying from side to side. And we'll do a bit more of this in a moment when we come to do the balance. So just a little bit of swaying from side to side, maybe a little bit of rocking forwards and back along the length of the footprints. And then just for a moment, see if you can settle in standing. You might even want to do a little bit of circling of your body over your feet. So just whatever's helpful, circling one way, circling the other, to help yourself arrive in standing after lying down. And of course, it's a gradual process. So maybe a moment, give the arms a shake out. Yes, jangle of bracelets, good. And then let's do a little bit of movement here. So let's come into this one that we often do. Easy, swinging the arms, slapping the hands onto the body. There's a jay that's just visiting the front garden. So Sandra, I'm sure you have far more interesting birds where you are. Amazing. Good. It's nice to get all the background noise when we're swinging our arms. I will show you in a moment. Okay, and then from there, settle down in the centre and just have a look at your feet, check their hip width apart and parallel. And then we're going to do this one where we reach up into one arm and then the other. And as you reach, you're looking forwards rather than up. So you reach up without looking, and you shift your weight into one leg and foot, and then the other. Reaching, reaching, and then in a moment from reaching, we're going to sweep all the way down into a forward bend, so you can feel terribly long, and then exhaling all the way down. In your forward bend, let the arms, the head, the shoulders all be heavy and give their weight down to the ground, and bend your knees as much as you like. Shake your arms out, just be heavy and floppy, and then exhale. If you need to walk your hands up the front of your legs to protect your lower back, otherwise sinking into your heels, rolling up into standing. Good, and have a little bit of a shake out. So we're just going to do this balance, and then I will mute everyone again. So we're going to do this balance now, and then we're going to do it after we've done the sort of little sequency thing. So what we do, and I wonder whether I need to come near it, is, you can see from here, is you stand on one foot and the other foot wraps around the back of your ankle. Okay, so we don't usually do this. So we're going to stand on the right foot and we're going to wrap, well, not really wrap, but just bring the left foot around the back of the right ankle. And then the right hand comes up and faces forwards, and the left hand comes down and faces forwards. So these two mudras, these are two hand positions, and maybe when we come back to the balance, I will talk to you a little bit more about them. So I just would like you to experience it for yourself here and see how it feels to settle in this balance. So the center of both palms should be soft, the fingers softly curling, your shoulders dropping. And how is it to settle on that right foot with the left foot hooked around the back of your ankle? Good. Letting the breath flow in, letting the breath flow out. Have another breath or two here if that feels okay. And then come down and have a little bit of a shake out. Shake out your arms and your legs. For a moment, come back into standing. So look at your feet. Maybe take a moment, closing your eyes, feeling the contact of your feet on the floor. Maybe even swaying a little bit from side to side. And then opening your eyes, we're going to shift our weight over our left leg and foot. Bring the right foot around the back of the left ankle. And then this time it's the left palm that comes up facing forwards and the right palm that is down facing forwards. Both, this elbow, the right hand elbow, the bottom hand, that elbow is a little bit bent. It's not just that the arm is sort of hanging there. The elbow is a little bit bent. So we've got this conscious sense of both palms facing forwards. And then how does it feel to settle here, to let the breath come in, to let the breath leave you? Very nice. See if it's possible to have another breath or two there. Very nice. Come down and have a little bit of a shake out. So we're going to come to, I'm going to put you on mute now again. So come to the back of your mats. And we're going to do a sequence coming down onto the mat. So as you would be for prayer pose. So for sun salute, hands in prayer pose. Let me see. Okay. So arriving at the back of your mat, feeling your footprints on the floor, feeling the contact of your hands. Letting the breath come in. As you exhale, take your hands down and then up. Long and tall here, let the breath come in, drop the shoulders. As you exhale, down into a forward bend. And then a breath or two in your forward bend. And then from here, big hand prints, we're going to be walking forwards into dog that you want to be bending one knee and bending the other. You definitely want to, well, you definitely might like to be having some big exhalations. Big handprints on the floor. Just seeing how that dog feels. And then from dog, we'll come down onto hands and knees. So once you're on hands and knees, settle yourself with your hands under your shoulders and your knees under your hips. And we're going to come to some cat movements. So rounding your back to the ceiling, dipping your spine down to the floor, and seeing how these movements feel today on this beautiful evening. How does your body feel? How does it feel to round your back to the ceiling, let your head hang? How does it feel to let your belly soften down to the floor and your shoulder blades slide down your back a bit? So a few more times, rounding and dipping, letting the breath flow in and out. And whenever you're ready, from a rounded up cat, you're going to stay rounded and rock your hips back over your heels into child pose. And in your child pose, then let your elbows come down on the ground, your forehead, and just settle. Going to have a few breaths here, but feeling the ground beneath you, seeing if you can feel the flow of breath in your body. And then from child pose, we're going to open out through the front of the body by coming into lunge. So from hands and knees, you're going to step 1 foot forwards into lunge. Good. Actually, you're all with me still. So one foot forwards into lunge, and having a few breaths here. Now you could just be still, not say still in lunge, but you could stay here just breathing, giving the weight of your pelvis down. If you like, you could do a little bit of easing in and out of lunge. So have the back foot flat, and you can rock your weight forwards, and you can rock your weight back. So when I'm coming forwards, my knee maybe comes a little bit further forwards over my foot, my gaze comes forwards. When I'm going back, you might even move your hands back a bit. I'm looking back. My chest is staying close to my thigh in that front leg. And this maybe means that we can stay a little bit longer in this place because we're easing in and out of it. And we're also echoing these cat movements in our spine. So we're going to swap sides for lunge. If you wanted to swap sides in lunge coming into dog pose, you could do. Or you could swap sides for lunge on hands and knees. So however you do that, coming onto side 2 of lunge. And again, maybe have a few breaths just being in lunge, arriving in lunge, checking how it feels on this second side. So your front foot is nice and planted. You're breathing, you're giving the weight of your pelvis to the ground. And then if you like, as we did on the other side, we can untuck the back toe. We can start this easing back. So if you look when I'm easing back, I'm keeping my chest very close to my front leg thigh, which means that front knee is bent. And then coming forwards, as if you come up onto your fingertips, make sure your shoulders are sliding down away from your ears. And the back of your neck stays long. Going back, looking back, coming forwards, looking forwards. Okay. And from lunge on this side, you could either from hands and knees or from lunge, we're going to come into dog pose again. And from that dog pose into our forward bend and back into standing. So if you're happy in lunge, you can plant your hands down, tuck your back toe under, step your feet, front foot back into dog. Otherwise, coming up from hands and knees. Now, if you've stepped into your dog from lunge and it feels a bit long, walk your feet in a little bit towards your hands. And then again, see how this dog pose feels. Do you want to bend both knees? Do you want to bend one knee? How does it feel to be in dog? Breathing, resting through your arms. And from dog, we will start to walk the hands in towards the feet, into a forward bend, until all of your weight is in your footprints. Let your head go, let your arms go. We're going to touch the backs of the hands together. And as we exhale, rolling up into standing, taking the hands up towards the ceiling, dropping the shoulders, letting a breath come in, exhaling, taking the arms out in a big circle back into prayer pose. Oh, I think it might be NHS cheering. I don't know if people are doing that now. It seems to be. What are we doing, Sam? Unmuting people. So yes, if you want to go and clap outside your house, you can do. It's all got slightly controversial in the press. We all.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, I was just unmuting a few people to see. Yeah, I don't know. I keep. So the clapping is still going on, isn't it? Because I was reading an article by the woman who started the clapping saying it should stop now. So
No, this is
Not the last one.
is this the last one? Is it?
Yeah.
Ah, okay, okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's really loud because I'm right by the hospital because it's the last one. Everyone's really going for
I
it.
didn't realise it was the last
I-
one. Okay.
I was too late, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's week 10 or something.
Yeah.
How is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
10 weeks, can you imagine?
Wow. I know. Unbelievable.
Well, we'll never do it again. It's nice.
Oh, oh.
Yeah.
Look at Vinny. Okay, I shall meet you all again. We're back in standing. We're going to go back down and do a different cycle of the sequence. So yes, at the back of your mats. Look at your feet, feet hip width apart. Hands coming into prayer pose. Take this moment to gather yourself so you're feeling your footprints, you're feeling the contact of your hands. You're making contact with the inner flow of your breath. Feeling a breath come in as you exhale, open your eyes, take your arms down and then up. Drop the shoulders, let the breath come in, exhale down into a forward bend. Have a couple of breaths here. Remember to bend your knees as much as you like. And then walking the hands forwards into dog pose. We only have a couple of breaths in dog and we'll be coming on, down, on, into hands and knees. And settling on hands and knees again. Now, you might want to watch me for a moment. This is going to be familiar, but just if it doesn't make sense, I'm talking it through. What we're going to be doing is tucking the toes under and doing cat, but adding in some rocking forwards and back. So you could maybe just follow me, hands and knees, toes tucked under. You're going to round your back to the ceiling and staying rounded, rock your hips back over your heels. Let a breath come in, and then as you exhale, let your spine dip down as you come back onto hands and knees. And then again, rounding your back to the ceiling, staying rounded, rocking your hips back over your heels. And then dipping your spine down to come forwards, which might work best on an out breath. Maybe just whatever works for you. So rounding up, rocking back, your feet are tucked under, your toes are tucked under, and then dipping your spine to come forwards. You maybe bend your elbows a bit. This doesn't have to be a huge movement. So sometimes it can be a bit distracting to bend the elbows lots. This sort of circling, sort of circular movement we make with the spine. Rounding the back, rocking hips back over the heel with the back rounded. Yes, wonderful view I've got of you, Kayla. Thank you for organising your device like that. Very nice, everyone. Good. Good. Maybe do one more cycle of that. And That's it. So one more cycle, rounding up, staying rounded, rocking your hips back over your heels, and then dipping your spine down to come forwards. And then untuck your toes, round your back to the ceiling and rock yourself back into child pose. And give yourself a couple of breaths in child pose to settle. And yeah, you might give your pelvis a little bit of a wiggle, just really settling down through all of the points of the body that are in contact with the floor. Letting your breath come in, letting your breath leave you. And then from child pose, we're going to see, how does it feel to slither forwards onto your belly? So from child pose, opening out the front of the body, slithering forwards onto the belly. Have your hands one on top of the other and your forehead resting on the top hand. So you can arrive on your belly, you can give your pelvis a little bit of a wiggle. And then I want you to do the little lifting movement. So if you're starting with your forehead on the back of your top hand, as you exhale, sinking into your forearms and elbows and letting your head lift. And your chest lifts a little bit as well. So it's not a huge movement, but it's this movement of lifting the head, letting the gaze come forwards, but keeping the back of the neck fairly long, trying to feel that we're activating the muscles in the upper back. So it's not just about the neck. I'm just going to have a little look at you. But I'm sure you're all doing it beautifully. I'm sure actually I won't be to see any of you, so it doesn't really. There we go. I'm sure you're all doing it beautifully. And then from there, fold back, maybe do one more and then fold back into child pose again, just for a moment. And in child pose, plant your hands on the ground. Yes, that's it. So in child pose, plant your hands on the ground and then come up onto hands and knees, which should end up as a longer hands and knees. So just have a look and see if it is a longer hands and knees. And what you're going to do here is just start this rocking forward. So we're sort of edging towards face up dog, but not really getting there just yet. So it's, what does it start to feel like to be supporting ourselves through the bones of our arms? And from the pelvis moving back towards child, what's it like to start to bring the pelvis forwards towards face up dog? And as we go forwards and back, you could start to go into face up dog, just being aware of your lower back, not doing anything that doesn't feel right. Good. And we're going to do face up dog in some other ways in a moment. So from here, you can do maybe one more face up dog and then fold your hips back over your heels one last time into child pose. And let the breath come in, let the breath leave you. Good. And then coming back onto hands and knees, and we're going to move through dog pose and a forward bend back into standing. So on hands and knees, tucking your toes under, big handprints on the floor, exhaling, rocking your hips back over your heels, picking your knees up off the floor, coming up into dog pose, seeing how it feels now. Breathing, settling through the arms, bending the knees as much as you like. Few breaths in dog. Bending one knee, bending both knees. And from dog, we will be walking the hands in towards the feet, back into a forward bend. So feeling your weight come all the way into your footprints. The hands can come off the floor, or if they're still touching the floor, it's very light. Then bring the backs of the hands together as you exhale, rolling up into standing, keeping the backs of the hands touching, taking the arms straight up to the ceiling. If you feel that this time you want to go into a little back arch and let your pelvis come forwards, you can do. And then bring your hands down in front of you. So we're going to go through one more cycle. So Kayla, I think you might have frozen because you're still in child pose. Maybe you're still in child pose. We just unmute you. Hold on a minute. Kayla, are you? Unmute. Can't unmute her. All right. I'll trust that you're still with us, Kayla. So at the back of your mat, hands in prayer pose, feeling your footprints on the floor. Let a breath come in as you exhale, take your hands down and then up. Let the breath come in, and as you exhale down into your forward bend. And be heavy and floppy in the forward bend for a breath or two. And then walking the hands on into dog pose. I'm going to come have a look at these dog poses. But yes, don't let that put you off. So letting the breath come in, letting the breath leave you. Good. And from dog pose once more, coming down onto hands and knees. And settling yourself on hands and knees. And so what I'd like us to do on hands and knees now is a little bit of tail wagging. So once you've settled on hands and knees, how does it feel to imagine you have a tail, a dog's tail, a beautiful fish's tail, and you're wagging or swishing your tail from side to side. Feeling how one side of the body shortens as the other side lengthens. You could do your little fishes. You could swing your lower legs from side to side. Look at me if you know this one. Good. Okay. Maybe for a moment, just sit back over your heels and give your hands a shake out. Because we're going to do a bit now of using our side bending to go back into child and forwards into face up dog. So again, we need to be in this longer hands and knees position. And we can start this movement of swinging the pelvis from side to side, going back towards child, moving forwards in this snaky movement towards face up dog. Obviously adjusting your hands and knees position if it doesn't feel quite the right length. And yeah, trying to find a movement that feels enjoyable, maybe even fun. So snaking your pelvis from side to side. All the way into face up dog. And then back into child pose. If at any point you want to feel that you want to stay in child pose for a few breaths, do so. What you could also do now, if you like, is add in that other way of going into face up dog where you're rounding your back. So if you want to do that, you can tuck your toes under, you can round your back to the ceiling, rock your hips back over your heels. And then travel forwards into face up dog with your back rounded, watching your pelvis come forwards, letting the pelvis go when you end up in face up dog. So you could try that a couple of times. You could reverse the movement. So tucking the toes under, rounding the back up, rocking the hips back over the heels. Let the breath come in, so you travel forwards on an out breath, rounding your back to the ceiling. As the shoulders come over the hands, you untuck your toes. You maybe have a breath or two here. And then from here, I think definitely folding into child pose. And I'm going to unmute everyone for a moment. So I was just unmuting everyone for a moment because we're going to do something which we do sometimes do. So you don't have to be unmuted, but I have unmuted some of you who I could unmute. So staying in your child pose, and the one thing I thought was you might possibly need blocks or books for this. So staying in child pose, you're going to slide your hands in towards you and your head and come into kneeling. And then some of you, Maria, I know you seem to particularly like this one. We're going to do this like mini camel pose where, so I would have my fingertips on the floor, but if that doesn't work, you might want the flats of your hands or your knuckles or your fingertips on blocks. And it's this one where we press into the top of the feet and bring the pelvis forwards. My knees always sort of wander out a bit, which they shouldn't do. So this one here. I personally wouldn't let the head fall back unless your pelvis is really going a long way forwards, because it might, I just don't like that. So this is really about, we're going to do it a few times, it's really about this delightful, delightful stretch through the quads, through the fronts of the thighs. And I'll come and have a little look at you. Yes, very nice. I know it's, yeah, good. We've had enough of, we had more than enough of that one. If you want to do it once more, you can do. If you've had more than enough of that one, you're going to come back onto hands and knees, tucking your toes under. We're going to move up through dog pose. And stand. If you felt that you wanted to, as this is, I think, maybe our last dog pose or thereabouts, if you wanted to in this dog, do any of the one-legged dogs. Doing, and I will mute everyone again. Okay, so that's it, bit of a lengthen out in dog, one-leg dogs if you like, and then walking your hands in towards your feet. And in your forward bend, you can roll up into standing, again touching the backs of your hands together. And when you come up into standing, if you want to do that little standing back arch, remember the pelvis comes forwards as the gaze comes up. And then have a bit of a shake out. And let's settle in standing because we're going to revisit that balance once more. And I'll just talk to you a little bit more about the mudras in it. But first of all, settle your feet down so they're hip width apart and parallel. Give the arms a little shake out. Settling the feet down, and then maybe just a little bit of swaying with the eyes closed. So how does it feel to be back in standing and settling in standing? And as I said at the beginning of the period of standing, it's all a process, this settling in standing, arriving, being. You might want to shift your weight forwards and back a little bit. And eventually, can we settle down into Tadasana, what we call Tadasana in yoga, mountain pose standing, where we feel that we're growing these roots into the ground, and then our spine is able to lengthen upwards with as little effort as possible. So from here, we're going to be shifting our weight back onto the right foot, bringing the left foot around the back of the right ankle. So the right hand comes upwards. This upper hand is about courage. The bottom hand, left hand faces forwards. This hand is forgiveness. So courage and forgiveness. I was thinking maybe that's all we really need, courage and forgiveness. So see how it feels to settle here after all the movement. You've got these soft palms facing forwards, your bottom arm elbows a little bit bent. Good. Very nice. How does it feel to be in this balance? It's quite simple, but we're thinking about these qualities of courage and forgiveness. Good. And coming down, having a little shake out. And we'll try the other side. So settling both feet down, having a look at your feet, always very helpful before we come to stand on them. And then bring your gaze forwards, find a point to focus on. Let the right foot now come round the back of the left ankle. The left hand comes up, the right hand is down. The palms facing forwards, the palms soft. We come back to this courage, or perhaps another word might be fearlessness and forgiveness. Maybe these qualities can be helpful in our yoga practice. We can encourage a sense of fearlessness, not doing foolish things, however, but also being forgiving of ourselves when we perhaps don't do things as well as we would like to or as easily. So letting the breath come in, letting the breath leave you. Very nice. And then come out, have a little shake out. And we're going to have our awareness in our hands in a slightly different way, because we're going to come down, forward bend, dog pose. Make it a slightly longer dog, because from your dog, you're going to see how it feels to rock forwards into plank. Yes, so at the backs of your mats, have a look at your feet, settle your feet on the floor, feel yourself in standing at the back of your mat. Let a breath come in, and this time we're just going to let the arms fall down towards the floor. So as you exhale, start to look down at the ground, let your arms come down, your shoulders be heavy, let yourself roll down into your forward bend. And then walking your hands forwards, big handprints on the floor. Remember, we're going to go from dog into plank pose, so it needs to be a bit of a longer dog, probably, than your usual dog. And you can see then from dog, how does it feel to rock your weight forward so your shoulders are over your wrists. If it isn't quite long enough, you might have to go back up into dog and adjust. And your pelvis is supported. And then from here, sit down in kneeling and give your hands a shake out. And I thought for this little bit, I might unmute everyone again. So let me just do this. Bring your backs of your hands together like this. Kayla, have you moved on to a different device?
Yeah, I've gone onto my phone.
Oh, okay, at least you're still there, because for a long time it looked like you were just in child pose and you were frozen. To you, very nice child pose. Yeah, so backs of the hands together if you haven't done that already. Now, you could watch me for a moment. If you want to, I thought you could try your side plank, joy of joy. And I'll just show you, just remind you, because we haven't done this for ages, there's two different feet options. So there's this one where the feet are one in front of the other, or this one where the feet are one on top of the other. Okay, and then the joys of side plank. So to do a nice side plank, it needs to be a well-organised plank to start with. So make sure you're far enough forwards on your mat, and your hands are, your wrists are under your shoulders, and then you're lengthening one leg back and then the other. And then we're rolling onto the side. Doesn't matter which side, choose which side you want to go to. You're rolling onto the side of your feet. And then you can keep one foot in front of the other, or one foot can come on top of the other foot. And then the joy of taking one arm up towards the ceiling. I'm going to have a little look at you. You don't want to stay there too long. So, oh, yes, a bit of a very nice, well done. Keep quiet through the front ribs, lovely. Don't stay there too long, come back into plank. You could come down perhaps before you do the other side, maybe, or you can go straight on to the other side. So, yes, I'll just have a look. Very nice. Good. Lovely. Do ask if you have any questions about side plank. Try to feel that your top arm is in the sort of plumb line with your bottom arm. That's it. Good. Well done. And when you come out of side plank, come back into kneeling again and give your hands a bit of a shake out. Right. Ambitious about everything I was hoping we would do today. Let's I think it'd be nice to do this next thing. What I'd like you to do, what we're going to do from here is come and do, we often do this at the beginning of class, but we're going to do it at this point, is Anantasana. So it's another side thing, but not quite as hard work as side plank. So this side balance. So I'm going to mute you again. If you organise yourself, it doesn't matter which side because we'll do both. So you're long on your side. I like to have my head propped up in my hand because I just feel a bit more alert. But you could have your bottom arm long, or you could have, sort of the elbow bent, a bit more like that. And if you have your top hand on the floor in front of you, you could do a little bit of rolling yourself, forwards and back, rolling and rocking. So you're encouraging yourself to settle through the side of your body. Good. And you're trying to feel that you're in this long straight line of side Anantasana. I was going to say side plank again. We don't want to do that one again. So we're starting to think about a few more movements around the hip joints. So from here, if you can settle on your side, feeling long, we're then going to bring the top leg into tree pose. So you could keep your top hand on the floor as support. It might be if you want to bring your foot further up your thigh, you need to catch your ankle to slide the foot a bit higher up your thigh. And you might need this hand back on the floor for little adjustments. So see how it feels to be in tree pose on your side for a couple of breaths. And then from here, we bring this top knee towards the top armpit. And if at this point you feel terribly wobbly, then bend your bottom knee and slide it forwards. Otherwise, keep that bottom leg long. And then here, we catch our trouser leg, our ankle, our big toe. And as we exhale, this leg lengthens up towards the ceiling. We have a few breaths here. So it is, as you're obviously aware, a balance. Settling down through the side of the body. And we want to feel ourselves all the way into each heel. So our awareness travels throughout the whole of our body. And then from here we can come out in a mindful way. So reversing what we did. So back to knee to armpit, back through tree pose, back to having two long legs. And then from here, before we do the other side, roll onto your belly once more. Just have a couple of breaths on your belly. You could wiggle your pelvis if you like. And just see how it feels to settle on your belly. And then you're going to be rolling onto the other side for Anantasana and settling yourself down on side two. So again, what we're trying to feel here, so it's good to have the top hand on the floor to start with. What we're trying to feel here is this long straight line from the top elbow particularly if you've got your head in this direction, organisation, same organisation as me. Top elbow to heels. Hand on the floor in front of us. Can we rock forwards and back a little bit? Quite a good way to massage through the side of the body. I've had this sort of strange stiff hip on my right side, and it's been quite helpful, this one. And then let's settle, and then see how it feels to move into tree pose on this side. So bringing that top foot, that's it, up onto the thigh, having a couple of breaths there. And then what's it like to fold this top knee towards the armpit? Again, remember, if you feel wobbly here, you can bend this bottom knee, slide it forwards. Or keep that leg long. Catch your big toe, trouser leg, ankle, lengthening the leg up towards the ceiling. Very nice feet, everyone. And then it's this sense of, can we send our awareness all at the same time into the heels, into the elbow on the floor? Can we have a sense of our body in this shape as we let the breath come in and let the breath leave us? And then, yes, that was not me falling out of Anantasana, that was Casper jumping off the table. So from there, making your way out, and once more rolling onto your belly. Rest your head however is comfortable. Give your pelvis a bit of a wiggle. And you can bend your knees if you like, and bring the soles of your feet towards the ceiling, and do that one where we rock the feet from side to side. And from here in a moment, we're going to fold back into child pose, obviously bringing your legs onto the floor before you do that. So it might be nice just to lie long for a moment on your belly. Feel the breath come in, feel the breath leave you. And then folding back into child pose. And we're going to come and do some sitting things now. So for this beginning of this, it might be quite good to have your legs off. So we're going to start off leaning back onto our arms and having the legs out in front of us. And we're going to be doing this movement, this sort of frog leg movement, sliding one foot in. And what I'm trying to say is it's probably good not to have this foot on your mat, because that creates quite a lot of friction. So if you can have this leg as it's sliding in on, could be carpet, mine's okay on my rug, a wooden floor would be even better. So that this one leg can slide in and out. So if you can see, I'm letting my knee roll out to the side and I'm sliding my foot in and out. In quite an easy way, leaning back onto my arms. Good. Okay, try the same thing on the other side. Apologise now, I realise we're probably all realising the same. The soles of my feet from being in the garden are not particularly clean. The knee out to the side, foot sliding in. Okay, let's slide both feet in and come a couple of times. Slide them in towards cobbler pose, slide them out again, and then end up in cobbler pose. And I think I'm going to unmute people. So if you need to unmute yourself, which some of you do, I think for the sitting it might be quite nice. So, and if it gets noisy, or if you know that it's noisy in your neck of the woods, then then you can mute yourselves. Okay, so from sitting, I think it just gets a bit noisy if someone moves their device around. So from some sitting, let's bring, does it matter? No. Let's bring one knee on top of the other knee. So we're coming into pinwheel, but we're mainly using it to go on into pigeon. Let me just put my mat out again. So into pinwheel on one side and a bit of circling. So when I say that we're mainly using it to come into pigeon, it means we're not going to be doing our pinwheel forward bend. We're just going to be doing some circling here. So you can circle in one direction and then the other. And so we're starting to think about the hip joints, the pelvis, about this probably most important thing when we're sitting is about this just trying to be heavy from the waist downwards. That's what makes sitting easier, giving the pelvis to the floor. So let's from here bring this knee back a little bit. And then let's slide this leg back, tucking the toes under so you can reach back through that long leg. And if it's okay, just see how it is to have a couple of breaths being up on your hands in pigeon pose. They can be as far forwards as you like, but just see what it feels like to start here for a couple of breaths. And if that feels okay, you could stay there for a couple more breaths. If you're thinking, I really don't like that, come down onto your forearms. And then once you're on your forearms, you can have a few breaths here. And you could think, okay, this is quite nice. I'll stay here, as nice as pigeon ever gets. Or I could go a bit lower. I could fold down, bring my forehead to the back of my hands or my forehead to the floor. Or it might be that you want to, come back up again onto your hands. So just come into a place in pigeon where you feel that you can let your pelvis drop down towards the floor. Of course, it's fine to do a bit of rocking, either up and down or side to side. Whatever feels helpful for you. And of course, whenever you've had enough, you roll out onto that front leg. So if you're still happy in pigeon and wanting to stay here a bit longer, then stay. If you're ready to come out, rolling onto that front leg hip. Lean back onto your hands and just give your legs a bit of a lengthen up in front of you. And then bring the hands back into feet back into cobbler pose. Let's go the other way this time into pinwheel. Let the knee come on top of going the other way. And a little bit of circling here. Good. So circling and settling, going in one direction, going in the other. Good. So just thinking about the pelvis settling, the weight settling down into the ground. And from here, we're going to slide this knee back and then lengthen out this other leg. And of course, I didn't say on the other side, but you all know that you can either be a bit offside in pigeon, a bit lopsided, or you can roll your pelvis over so it's level. And like on the other side, if it is tolerable to have a couple of breaths on your hands, see how that feels. It can be further forwards. And after you've had those couple of breaths, you just sort of see, okay, would it be better? Would it be better to go down? Or you might want to stay here. Would it be better to come onto my forearms, have a few more breaths here? How settled does the pelvis feel? How able am I to let go of tension, to breathe, to settle down? Do you want to go a bit lower? Do you want to bring your forehead to the back of your hands or the floor? How do the shoulders feel? And they stay soft and relaxed. And then again, obviously in your own time, you can, yes, roll onto that front leg hip. As you come out, Lean back onto your hands and give your legs a bit of a lengthen out. Feel okay still?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So we're going to do some sitting twists now, which will take us into a pose where we come back to this abaya mudra. So so I don't get you really confused. You're going to start with both legs long. We're going to bend the right knee and bring the right foot to stand on the floor. And if you can see, I hope you can still see here, that I've got this hip width distance still between my foot and my leg. So my heel is quite close to my bottom, but I've got this space between the foot and the leg. And holding around your leg, it helps to support your spine. So it's a bit easier to sit upright. And we're going to be turning away from this front leg and towards this front leg. And seeing how that feels. And you can keep using the hand that isn't holding. So one arm holds around the leg and the other hand comes back behind you and you can support yourself on your fingertips. So yeah, we can go from side to side a few times. So these twists are quite good for finding movement for through the rib cage because the pelvis is fixed and not moving. And the ribs then really have to. Okay, come to the center and then cross your foot over your long leg. So this is one option. For some of you, you might want to stay at this point. So what we can do is turn towards this front leg. And then this arm comes through and we bring the hand again into that. So the elbow is there on the inside of this, outside of that thigh actually. And the hand facing forwards in abaya mudra again. I've got my other hand on the floor behind me. Now, some of you might like to bend this bottom leg. There is an option where you actually sit on that foot. That's one possibility, but for most of us, it's usually more comfortable to sit next to the foot. So it's not cow legs because this other foot, this is my right foot, is standing on the floor. If it was cow legs, I'd be on the side of that foot. So again, you could be coming back to here if your foot won't stand on the floor, or you could be coming back and lengthening that leg out. So let's just see how it feels to turn towards this top leg. So we're turning to the right, and then the left hand comes through here, and the palm faces forward. So we just have a couple of breaths here, letting the shoulders drop, and feeling that the center of the palm is soft and relaxed. So if we remember, this is the mudra that symbolizes courage and fearlessness. Just do not be afraid. And then come back to the center, lean back on your hands, lengthen both legs out. Give the legs a little bit of a roll, bounce the knees, a little shake. And then we're going to bend the left knee. Stand the left foot on the floor. And so again, we've got this space between the left foot and the right long leg. The heel's quite close into the bottom. We can spend a moment just holding on to the leg, letting the spine grow upright. So we're long and taut. Then we can start turning towards the leg, so towards the left, and then away from the left. So you've always got one arm to hold round your leg. You've got one hand on the floor behind you. So the spine is quite well supported here. So hopefully the right leg can stay heavy and relaxed. If I know it's not always easy. Okay. Let's come back to the center. Let's step this left foot over the right thigh. And I think as I do that, I normally bring my long leg a bit towards the center. So we've stepped the foot over. We'll see how it feels then to turn towards this leg, this left leg. How does it feel to turn towards the left leg? We can bring the elbow to the outside of that leg. The palm faces forwards, soft and relaxed. Okay, you just release for a moment, and if you want to bend your long leg, you can do. So again, if you've done that and it doesn't feel right, lengthen the leg out, or you could stand the foot here on the other side of your knee. But this left foot needs to really be planted on the floor. And then once more, we turn back towards the left arm. Bring the elbow through. We can turn the palm to face forward. So we're coming to this gesture. So mudras are a gesture, this intention of courage, fearlessness. Let the shoulders drop. And we feel settled from the waist down. And then untwisting. Leaning back onto the hands, lengthening the legs out, giving them a roll, giving them a bit of a good dance. So we're going to just sit, do a little bit of quiet sitting now with a couple of mudras. It's one which I rediscovered today, which I absolutely love. I was very pleased about. So come into comfortable sitting. And then you'll get a chance to lie down. So make sure you're warm enough, because it does seem to be cooling down a little bit as usual. Now I'll just talk you into the mudras we're going to do, and then I will mute you. So we're going to start off with this. It's really familiar mudra where you touch your thumb and your index finger. So Jnana mudra. It's chin mudra if the palms are down. So we're going to sit like this with the hands on the back of the thighs first of all. And then from here, this is the one I remembered, which is so lovely. We bring the left hand comes to face the body. You're still touching the thumb and index finger. The right hand palm turns away from the body, and you're touching the left middle finger to the thumb and index finger of the right hand. Let me see, if I put it in front of my top, it will be better. Yeah. And we're there. This is really beautiful mudra. This hand is facing forwards. Are we all there? So that's it. So the right thumb and index finger touch the middle finger of the left hand. Yeah, that looks right. I'll talk you into it when we get there. Again, it's really beautiful because this hand symbolizes the outer world. This hand symbolizes our inner world. And the contact here is about the contact between the two, needing to be in harmony, which I thought was very appropriate for the moment. Okay. So let's release that for a moment and shake our hands out. And we'll start with just this simple one, but remember you keep that contact when we come into the second one. So the thumb and the index finger touching, the hands resting on the back of the thighs. Maybe actually just start with your hands resting without the contact of the thumb and index finger, and I'll talk you into that. If you get confused about the mudra, and need to ask a question, just press your space bar or look at me. So just, yeah, so backs of the hands resting on the thighs, letting your shoulders drop, maybe a little bit of rocking or circling or any of these little rhythmic movements we can do. Of course, you can have your back against the wall. That's helpful. Not so easy to rock there, but we need to settle in sitting to be able to then focus on the hands. So when you've settled, letting the shoulders drop, feeling the legs and pelvis are heavy on the floor, and then bringing the thumb and the index finger to touch in both of the hands and keeping the backs of the hands on the thighs for the moment. Let the breath come in, let the breath leave you. So this is always an interesting mudra to sit in because we have these 2 points of awareness for our mind. So the hands are doing the same movement, but can we hold those 2 points, those 2 hands in our awareness at the same time. Feeling the right hand, feeling the left hand. Letting the shoulders drop, allowing the breath to flow in and out. And from here, we'll come into the other mudra. So keeping the thumb and the index finger touching, we bring our left hand so the palm faces the body. The right hand, the palm turns away from the body. We touch the right thumb and index finger onto the middle finger of the left hand. We hold our hands in front of our body. So left palm faces us, right palm faces away from us. And I've got my hands maybe sort of perhaps 3 inches or so away from my body. It needs to be comfortable. So we can sit here, we can let the shoulders relax. We can maybe close our eyes and feel the position of the hands. So we've got that contact of the left middle finger with the right thumb and index finger. The right palm facing forwards, the left palm facing towards our heart. We're trying to allow ourselves to soften around this hand position. So the shoulders relax, the breathing softens. We settle down through our pelvis and our legs. So with each exhalation, that's our intention to keep our hands in this position, to keep alert and steady yet relaxed and soft. And so the left hand symbolizes our inner life, our inner world. And the right hand symbolizes the outer world. And the connection of the index finger and thumb and middle finger symbolizes the interconnection of our inner and outer worlds, and how both need to be in harmony for us to feel balanced and at ease. We'll have a couple more breaths here, but if your arms get tired, bring your hands down to rest on your thighs. So release your hands, bring the backs of your hands to rest on your thighs for a moment. And then turn your hands, palms down. Just maybe a couple of cycles of breath here with the hands resting, palms down on the thighs. Our attention turned towards our inner world. Feeling that inner flow of the breath. And then from here, we're going to lie down. So make sure you're going to be warm. We're going to, perhaps lie down for, it's not for that long, but perhaps slightly longer than we sometimes do in these Zoom classes. So, because we haven't done much lying down today. So settle yourselves down. Blankets, jumpers, whatever you need. Be comfy and cozy. So we can, in our lying, take this sense of our inner and outer worlds into this short period of relaxation. So maybe start once you've settled. Hands could be on your body or arms out by your sides. You might like to let your head ease from side to side a little bit on the floor. And once you've settled down with your head, with your body, with your mind, then start once more by gathering your attention inward to your inner world, to the inner world of your breathing, bodily sensations, thoughts, feelings, images, mental images that arrive. Just allowing everything that's there within you to be present without fixing on any one thing. And if thoughts come up that are less than helpful, then use your breathing to help you feel anchored in the present moment by feeling the inner flow of the in and the out breath. And notice your skin. See if you can feel your skin, possibly the areas of bare skin where we can feel the air on them. The skin is this point of connection between, I suppose, us, our inner world, and the outer world. So we can notice the skin. And in noticing the skin, we become aware of the temperature of the air around us. We can also be aware of the points of the body that rest on the floor, so aware of the ground beneath us. Aware of noises, both nearby and further away. And anything else might be light, that might be another thing in your outer world. All these sensations of the world around you. And just as we lie for the last minute or so, see if you can, with this very expansive sense of awareness that's aware of your inner world and your outer world at the same time. And I'll be adding another sound into your outer world by ringing the bowl 3 times. So just wait until the silence at the end of the 3rd sound before you start to move. So thank you, everyone. I'm just going to unmute you now.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to see everyone.
Well, that's how I did that. So, oh,
Lovely.
Thank you, Kayla. We're on mute.
Sarah. It's lovely.
Thank you, Karen. See you
Lovely.
next week.
See you next week. Sam, don't forget to try and, sorry about next Tuesday.
Oh, no worries. No
But
worries.
I've been thinking about it a lot, so I am. Well, I also thought we could. No, actually, maybe with Mary we can't. It probably is better to do it at home. I was going to say meet in the park, but then I'd have a child in tow. So
Bye. See you next week.
Yeah, I'll
Bye.
text. Bye.
Sarah.
Bye.
Lovely class. Thank you.
Oh, lovely to see you. all.
Really nice.
I should email and message everyone about the yoga in the park. So
Ooh. Bye.
bye.
Lovely, thank you.